Everything that you do inside the gym is practice and preparation for life outside of it. It demands your attention. And every time you work out, especially when it gets intense, you are building that power of. I find that a lot of people are fixated on the physical benefits, the physical payoffs from working out. And maybe they're looking to become more muscular or stronger or improve their overall health in some way. But I think that if you're fixated on the physical aspects and the physical benefits of working out, then you're missing out on a lot. And I want to talk to you today about the 10 mental powers that you develop by working out. The reason it's important for you to know this is because everything that you accomplish in your life begins here, or we can say here if we're talking about spiritually. But just to make it simple, we'll say that it begins in the mind. Everything that you accomplish, everything even that you accomplish physically actually begins here, not here. And so, if you understand and appreciate how you can develop your mental powers by getting in the gym and working out, then you're going to be able to take what you do in the gym and apply it outside of the gym so that you live a more fulfilling and flourishing life. Remember what I always tell you, everything that you do inside the gym is practice and preparation for life outside of it. I am Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. I'm also the youngest son of Bill Johnson. And with that said, let me just add that I want you to leave your questions and comments if you have any, because I love to hear back from you. Whether you agree or disagree, I actually enjoy getting your feedback. And if I'm not too busy, I respond a lot of times. So, what is the first mental power that you develop by working out? It is what I call intent. Intent is essentially living with a purpose. This makes a lot of sense, right? When you show up at the gym, you don't just show up by accident. You have a reason for being there. You have a purpose, and your purpose is what drives your actions in the gym. Now, a related idea is a growth mindset. When you have intent, you have a growth mindset. You see, because without a growth mindset, you would never believe that you could learn something new and apply it and get better and grow, right? So that growth mindset is part of intent. But the main idea here is that mental power of intent. Every time you go and you work out, you strengthen that mental power of intent. What is the second thing on our list today? It is expectation. So, expectations to a large degree determine what you experience in life in terms of the outcomes that you get. Your expectations of yourself and your behavior will dictate your actions, and your actions will obviously affect the outcomes that you experience in your life. When you have low expectations, you won't try very hard. You won't do very much because you don't expect to experience very much or have very much or achieve very much. But when you have better expectations for yourself, then your behavior will come into alignment with those better expectations. It's going to make it more likely that you achieve more favorable outcomes in your life. You experience more. Okay. So, number three is fairly obvious, but it has to be said, and that is discipline. What exactly is discipline? You've heard me say it before. Discipline is simply commitment in action. You cannot claim that you are committed to anything if you don't prove it through action. And that is what discipline is. And every time you go on to work out, you are demonstrating your discipline. You know those times when you go to work out in spite of the fact that you don't feel like it? Well, that's discipline. That's discipline at work. And every time you go to work out, you are building that mental faculty of discipline. Discipline is a mental power. Okay. What is number 4? Focus. You've ever been working out, whether it's endurance training or resistance training, whatever it is, and it starts to get hard, what you'll notice is that the harder it gets, the more you have to focus in order to keep going. You don't have the mental bandwidth to have your attention just flying off in this direction and that direction because the task at hand is so critical and it's so hard. It forces you to focus. It demands your attention. And every time you work out, especially when it gets intense, you are building that power of focus. And you can take that outside of the gym. Your ability to focus on something in your life and get it done is going to put you way ahead of most people. Most people have terrible focus and terrible attention spans. But your ability to be in a moment and pay attention, stay focused, will be a huge driver of success and better, more favorable outcomes in your life. What is number 5? Perseverance. This is somewhat related to what I just talked about. When things start getting hard, you have to make a decision. Are you going to quit or are you going to keep pushing through it? Now, a lot of people, you probably know some people like this. I mean, the first sign, the first sniff that something is becoming difficult, they pull out. They say, I've had it. I can't go on anymore. That's it. Some people won't even try. Like if they even think it's going to be hard, they won't even, like perseverance is not even a part of their vocabulary. But your ability to persevere and to keep going when things get hard separates you from a lot of people in this world. Let me tell you, because a lot of people, they just give up easily. What is number 6? Well, it's adaptability. So this is an interesting one. But let me give you an example from a recent workout that I did. This is a couple of days ago. I went into the gym. There are 3 benches with a barbell, and all 3 benches were occupied. Now, I was going in there with the intention of starting my workout with some barbell bench presses. But obviously, that was no longer an option because all of the benches with the barbells were occupied. But there is another bench in the gym that is a standalone bench. And you know what I did? I grabbed some dumbbells and I got on that bench and I did dumbbell presses instead. So I adapted to the situation. Understand that not everything in your life is going to be convenient for you. You're going to have to work around some things in order to keep progressing. And that is what adaptability is. Your ability to work around certain constraints to ensure that you keep making some progress, that you're not just, you don't just, the time is not just wasted. Number 7 is not so obvious, but it's a great one. And it is self-awareness. Now, think about when you're working out. You know what you're doing, you know how much you're doing, and your body is providing feedback to you. So you're very aware of what's happening. You're paying attention. Your skeletal muscular system is providing feedback. Your nervous system is providing feedback. You're getting an idea of whether you can keep pushing, maybe pushing harder, or whether you need to pull back a bit, right? Now, what does this have to do outside of the gym? Well, we live in a world with other people. There are going to be interpersonal relationships that you have in your life, and your behavior affects other people around you. Their behavior in turn affects you. Okay, but being self-aware, Having an understanding of what you're doing, how you're behaving, and how it's coming off, and what the effects are is really, really important for managing your relationships, okay? So that you have good, constructive relationships. So, what is number 8? Resilience. Now, resilience is just your ability to bounce back. We've all had a really massive workout before, and we get up the next day and we just know we need to rest and recover. That next day, we just don't have it. It's just better to rest and recover. But after we have that period of rest and recovery, then we're able to go back into the gym and work out again. That's called resistance, your ability to bounce back. You had a temporary setback, yes, but that's okay. You didn't give up. You didn't say, oh, this is the end of the world. You said, okay, I'm okay now. Let's get up off the ground and let's keep going. So, your mental power of resilience. Every time you have that day off, that long rest, but then you come back better than ever, that's resilience. Okay, number 9. This is a great one. I love this. Patience. The mental power of patience. Why is this important? Because in order to build momentum, you must have patience. A lot of times in your life, things will begin very slowly. You'll be working at something, working at it, working at it, working at it, and it just seems like nothing is happening. But that's not true. You're just in the momentum building phase, right? Building momentum requires patience. You know this when you work out. You Whatever you do today in the gym, you're not going to really see the impact of that tomorrow, right? There's a time lag, and you have to build momentum. You have to keep going. But you know that if you keep going somewhere down the line, you're going to start to see and feel those results, right? And so that's patience working for you. Delaying your gratification. If you just have to have instant gratification all the time, then what that means is that you have no patience. And you know, if you go to the gym on a regular basis, you know that that's not a formula for success in the gym. You have to have patience. You have to be able to envision what's waiting for you in the future, right? All right. And finally, number 10. This is directly related to number 9. Number 10 is appreciation. Okay. Now, why do I say appreciation? Well, it's because appreciation is basically affirmation of your effort. You can think of it as the payoff of your patience, right? Appreciation is a wonderful thing. When you've worked at something and you've been through the ups and downs, you've had to demonstrate resilience. You've been disciplined about it, okay? You've had these expectations about where you want to go, and you just keep working at it and working at it, just like you do in the gym. You just keep working at it and working at it, and then you start to see those results. You have a real appreciation. You don't just take it for granted because you know what it took. You know what it took to get to that point, okay? And that too is a mental power. Appreciation is a mental power, and when you understand the importance of appreciation, okay, then it's going to make you more willing to persevere and to display that discipline and to stick with it and to focus. All these mental factors that we talked about, if you make them stronger, keep working on them, make them stronger as you work out in the gym, okay, you're going to start to see the payoff and you're going to appreciate the payoff. So those are my 10 mental powers that you develop by working out. And I just want you to remember that working out is not only about the physical benefits. It's not only about the physical payoffs. There's a lot that goes on mentally, and everything starts with the mind. So That is my message for you today. I want you to take this with you and talk to you next time.